structure and same long prehensile tongue that allows it to pull leaves off of trees and bushes. Eating off trees and bushes does make that animal a browser, while grazers eat grasses. Kind of an interesting distinction between different types of herbivores. Those okapi were actually thought to be a myth by Westerners until 1901. They thought it was like the African version of the unicorn, and they didn't believe locals when they said it was a real animal. Until 1901, when they finally saw one for themselves for the first time. Like I mentioned earlier, these forest animals do tend to be a little bit more reclusive than most, and the okapi is no exception. That is part of the reason why it took them so long to see one for the first time. In fact, the first photo of a baby okapi was not taken until 1901. Or, that's not what I meant to say. Oof. First photo of a baby okapi was not taken until 2018. Sorry. Over here to the left, in that reddish-brown color, we've got the bongo. Bongos are known as the ghosts of the forest because they are rarely ever seen. Horns on the bongo's head are tilted backwards to help them move quickly through the forest underbrush to escape predators. Those bongos have incredible hearing. That is part of the reason why they are so rarely seen. They can hear predators coming before the predators can see them, which gives them extra time to hide. We have now exited that little Laturi forest, and we are entering the Sapi River area. This is where we might see some animals that like to spend their time in and around the water, so do keep an eye out. On the right, we've got some pink-backed pelicans. The pink-backed pelican is named for the pink spot that appears on its back during its nesting season. Those birds are colonial nesters. They'll nest in groups of 20 to 500 pairs. And then over here to the left, we've got a Nile hippo. Nile hippos spend most of their time in the water to keep cool. They can stay underwater for about 8 minutes at a time without coming up for air. While they do spend most of their lives in the water, they usually won't swim. They prefer to just walk along the bottom of the water because swimming's a little difficult for them based on their size. Those hippos are born at about 85 pounds and they can weigh up to 5,500 pounds as adults. And while they do look kind of blubbery, they're actually really dense. That is all muscle. It's not really fat, so that they do sink. Over here to the left, we've got some Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles are the largest African species of crocodile and the second largest species of crocodile in the world. Those crocs are about as long as a giraffe is tall, and they've got some of the strongest jaws in the wild. Those jaws are powerful enough to break bone. They will use those jaws for some gentler things as well. Mother crocs will very gently roll their baby's eggs in their mouth to stop them hatch. And if a big croc finds itself in danger, it'll climb into its mom's mouth, and its mom will carry it to safety. And with that being said, we have now exited the Sapi River area, and we are entering the savannah. This is where we're going to spend most of our safari adventure today. On the right, we've got a baobab tree. That tree is nicknamed the upside down tree because those branches look an awful lot like roots, especially since they are leafless about 9 months out of the year. That big thick trunk is actually hollow and can contain thousands of gallons of water inside. African painted dogs are named for their coats, which look like they've been painted with all those pretty colors. Each one of those dogs has its own unique spot pattern the same way you and I each have our own unique fingerprints. Those dogs are some of the most successful carnivores in the savannah. They will hunt as a team and they chase their prey until it literally drops from exhaustion. They hunt with up to a 90% success rate, which is the highest of any animal. Oh. Over here to the left with those thin curved horns, we've got the sable antelope. The sable uses those horns to defend itself against predators, and it is the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. One of the few antelope species that when faced with a fight or flight situation, it would prefer to stand its ground and fight to protect itself instead of fleeing. Now these tall dirt structures that we're passing are termite mounds. Termite mounds are made out of termite dung, saliva, and dirt, and they can be as hard as concrete. They are so hard, they grow so tall in fact that elephants a lot of times will actually use them as scratching posts. Personally, I don't know if dung would have been my number one choice for a building material, but I guess it might have been my number two. Coming up on the right, these grayish animals are wildebeests. Wildebeests get their names there for convert for wild beasts, as shocking as that may be. They're usually found in some pretty large groups. They'll migrate up to 1,000 miles in groups of 1.5 million. That does make them the second most densely populated mammals in the world. The first is humans. Got a little bit of a closer look at some of these wildebeests up here. And then on top of the hill, those tiny little antelopes look kind of like s'mores are springbok. Springbok get their name from their ability to jump 6 feet in the air repeatedly when they're alarmed, kind of like a bouncing spring. They can also leap forward about 13 feet at a time, so they do have very powerful little legs. Wow. Their name is two Afrikaans words put together, spring meaning jump and bok meaning antelope. So they are quite literally named the jumping antelope. While they are small, those are fully grown adult springbok. That is about as big as they get. They're roughly the size of a golden retriever. And over here to the left, we do have some Maasai giraffes. Maasai giraffes are identified by their rougher edge spot pattern. The spots fit together a lot like puzzle pieces, and they are not symmetrical. They are born at about 6 feet tall, so an infant giraffe is already taller than I will ever be. They also sleep just 30 minutes a day, and those aren't even 30 consecutive minutes either. They take couple-minute cat naps throughout the day for a grand total of about 30 minutes of sleep in every 24-hour period. That is 30 minutes on the higher end. They can go with as little as 5 minutes of sleep in a day. While giraffes are known for those long necks, they actually have the same number of vertebrae in their necks that humans do. You and I each have 7 vertebrae in our necks, and giraffes have 7 in theirs. Theirs are just a lot bigger and more spaced out. Over here to the right, we've got that African elephant. African elephants are identified by the shape of their ears. Those ears are shaped roughly like the continent of Africa. Oftentimes you will see him flapping his ears. That is to help him cool down. Just by flapping those big ears, elephants can cool down up to 15 degrees. So for them it is kind of like having a built-in fan or ear conditioning. You should be able to see him again over here as well. Yeah. Different angle.
Look, he's dancing.
Those